How's it going? My name's Nico. I go by COINTrick and cointricktwitch online. If you want to see more videos like this one, please remember to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload another one of these videos. How's it going? My name's Nico. I go by COINTrick and cointricktwitch online. We've been doing this series of 3-part videos where we teach you how to make and master a classic cocktail, and then how to build up your bar around that style of cocktail. So, in the first part, we taught you how to make and master the whiskey sour. In the second part, I showed you some extra ingredients you can pick up and some other ingredients you can use as substitutions in the original recipe to make a few extra cocktails. Now, in part 3, which is the episode that you're watching now, I'm going to show you how to make a signature cocktail in that original style from parts 1 and 2. So this is going to be an egg white style cocktail, or a sort of like a whiskey sour style cocktail, or a fizz. And some advanced techniques at the end of the video that you can use to make sure that your drinks really do stand out. Important note, I say this every single time that I show you guys how to make a signature cocktail, but keep it simple, right? This is an egg white style cocktail, so obviously you're gonna have to include some kind of egg white or some sort of foaming agent, so you can use aquafaba from chickpeas or some sort of chemical edible foam. If you're vegan or you have some sort of dietary restriction, you can use those instead. The second thing is make sure that you're beginning with an original sour build. So you should have liquor, sweetener, and sour. Other than that, just make sure you dry shake it before you strain it, and double strain it or fine strain it if you can, and you can't really go wrong. So, what ingredients am I going to use for my signature cocktail? You guys remember when I said we were gonna get weird? This is gonna get very weird, but I'll try and reason it out for everybody. So, I'm gonna be using gin instead of bourbon. I'm gonna be using Cointreau instead of any kind of like simple syrup. And then I'm gonna be using celery bitters, which I mentioned before. And I'm gonna be topping everything, including the egg whites, with a Pilsner. So, stick with me. The only other thing that I'm gonna change is that I'm gonna be serving it in a tall glass. So this is gonna be more like a Tom Collins style drink, or like a gin fizz or silver fizz. So, there's our glassware. Let's make sure we're dry shaking this first. One fun thing that some bartenders will do is we'll actually triple shake it. We'll shake the egg whites alone, and then we'll add the rest of the liquid ingredients, and then we'll shake it again, and then we'll add the ice, and then we'll shake it a third time. Basically, all of that is to make sure that the egg whites come out as foamy and as thick and dense as possible. So instead of starting with strictly a sour build, technically what I'm starting with here is a daisy that happens to have egg whites in it. A daisy, if you guys recall way back when we were covering the margarita in a separate video, a daisy is basically gin, orange liqueur, and then lemon juice. Use all the same measurements from the whiskey sours. So it's gonna be 2 ounces of your base liquor, 3/4 ounce of your sweetener, and 3/4 ounce of your sour. Let's dry shake it. And now, it's got some ice. You have to do the toss behind the back. All right. Put it all together. Again, I'm not straining this over any ice, and you'll see why here hopefully in a second. I actually don't know if this is gonna work. Now, the lengthener that goes on top. The reason I say I don't know if this is gonna work is that technically this is based on a silver fizz or a gin fizz, and normally when you add club soda, not Pilsner, but when you add club soda, it'll create this very thick, dense foam that can almost raise out of the glass. We'll see if that's what happens here. That does look really good, actually. How does it smell? Cool. All right. So, next I'm just gonna top it with some of these celery bitters. Give it some aroma up here on top. Basically, I'm just perfuming the cocktail a little bit. All right. Now that it's finished, let's see how it tastes. And looking at it, I actually really like the way it looks. It does kind of just like look like a hazy, like very cold beer. Let's see how it tastes. That's actually pretty remarkable. But you know what? If I was going to do this again, I would... I don't say this a lot. I would add one thing. And that's all the camera one, by the way. I would add one thing. I would add some sort of actual sweet syrup, some sugar-based syrup, or something like agave to give it a little bit more body. I'm just not getting enough of the Cointreau coming through here. Still a great cocktail, still good, just not perfect. Right? And guys, if you make something at home and it's not perfect, don't beat yourselves up. It's never gonna be perfect the first time you make it. So what are some advanced techniques that you can use at work or at home to make sure your drinks really do stand out? You sort of saw one of them in the original whiskey sour that I did, when I did a little bit of sort of like line art with the bitters that were floating over the egg whites. Another thing I typically recommend is doing something like layering, which we did in part 2, where we layered the wine on top. Both of these are going to be very, very easy for you to do because the egg whites are so different in density and nature from all of the alcoholic components that you have. If you're layering, just use a gentle hand, and if you're doing this, just be a little bit meticulous about how you're tracing around. What are some other things that you can do to make your drink stand out? You could do infusions. You can make some of your own ingredients. So you can make some of those flavored syrups like you saw at the beginning of this video. Some of them that I would mention, I would say make some sort of botanical shrub, some sort of cordial or something like that. Make your own grenadine if you want to. You can also use certain forms of clarification, and actually eggs are one form of clarification. You can also use something like milk clarification or agar-agar or some other sort of chemical clarification to have an entirely clear cocktail. So what exactly did we do? First step should always be to find a classic cocktail that you enjoy, make it at home, and then learn how to master it on your own following the steps that we talked about in part 1. The second thing that you do is find some extra ingredients and some substitutions for that original recipe and master some new classic cocktails. Step 3 is when you make your own signature cocktail and you learn some of those extra advanced techniques so that your drinks do stand out from all of the others. Thank you guys for sticking around, tuning in, showing up. Thanks for all of your help and support. Hopefully I've been helpful and supportive for you all as well, since that's why we do everything that we do here. If you learned anything during this video, please like and subscribe and comment what drinks you want to learn how to make at home.